If you've watched these videos before, you know I don't. Fast forward to 1987, 336 mom's words of wisdom. Next up is we have the return of Ellie by this. Now to be honest, this, oh God. Welcome to another video. My name is Heather, and as always, I'm reading with a vengeance. If you're new to my channel, very warm welcome to you. To all you OGs, thank you so much for coming back. If this is your first time here and you like what you see, please give a lady a little encouragement by hitting that subscribe button. How is everybody's reading doing? Mine is getting slowly but surely better as the year progresses. We had a slow start. We had a reading slump early on, but I believe I've pulled out of it. As you know, if you've watched my most recent videos, you know that slump also affected my channel here. I took a little break from recording, and I even had that moment of, will I even continue to do it? It was just burnout, and I realized I was forcing myself to do some videos, including this particular one, which I turned into a series over a year ago. And it started off with just me being excited about these new releases that were coming out. And I thought, oh, well, that would be a good thing to do every month. And what that turned into was I was forcing myself to come up with new releases that I was excited about in order to make that video for you guys. So I'm not going to do that anymore. If there are books that I'm excited about coming out, then I'll make a video and share those with you. But if there's not, that's not going to happen. It seems like a no-brainer that you just do the videos that you enjoy doing. And it is. It is a no-brainer. But yeah, that's what I'm here to talk to you about. There are some books coming out in May that I truly am very excited about. And there's only 5, which is what I started this series on, just 5 books that I'm excited about. And if you've watched these videos before, you know that I don't typically talk about movies that everybody's excited about, that everybody is talking about. These are books that I just happen to find that I specifically am excited about, and that I know a lot of you who enjoy this channel would like to hear about. So let's get started. The first one I'm going to talk about, I've known about for months, and that's because I follow this particular author because he's one of my favorites of all time. And that is You Like It Darker by Stephen King. This is a collection of short stories, 12 to be exact, and I wonder just how short they are because the book is over 500 pages long. So, but that's typical of Stephen King. And if you know me, you know I don't usually get along with short stories, but Stephen King short stories I absolutely love. I've read most of his collections, and he's just one of those authors that can really pack a punch in a short amount of time. So I'm excited about his latest collection coming out. It is appropriately titled because these stories go into the darker side of life, both literally and metaphorically. One of the stories I'm really excited about, I think it's called Rattlesnakes, and it is a sequel to his novel Cujo, which was one of the first Stephen King books I ever read and loved. So I'm specifically excited about that one. But even though darkness is the theme that goes throughout all of the stories, there are going to be some moments of light. For example, there's a story that explores the idea of even though a life can be marked by unbearable tragedy, it can still be meaningful. That's one thing a lot of people don't know about Stephen King is there's a lot of heart to his stories. He can talk about stuff that's gruesome and horrific and scary. Most of the time, his characters are extremely relatable. You Like It Darker by Stephen King comes out May 21st. Next up is Miss Morgan's Book Brigade by Janet Skesling Charles. Now, to be honest, this cover did not impress me, nor did the title, but of course, because the word book is in the title, I had to read the synopsis and I was hooked. The stories take place around World War I and World War II, and books and reading is a major theme. This has me written all over it. The story follows the real-life Jessie Carson, who is a New York librarian, and she leaves her job in 1918 to go over to France to join the American Committee for Devastated France to help rebuild after what happened during the Great War. When she gets there, she wants to establish what France has never had, children's libraries. She starts turning old buses into bookmobiles, and she starts training French women to be librarians. And then she disappears. Fast forward to 1987, and we meet Wendy Peterson, who is also a New York librarian, and she comes across Jessie Carson's story in the archives, and she becomes obsessed in finding out what happened to her. She's an aspiring writer, so she starts kind of digging in and doing her own little investigation, and she starts to find little nuggets of information that connects her life to Jessie's. And the story goes from there. I think this is going to be extremely engrossing. I love that it's based on a real person. I love a dual timeline. This just has all the tick marks for me. This book has the sweet spot page number of 336. Miss Morgan's Book Brigade comes out May 7th. Next up is Joe Nuthin's Guide to Life by Helen Fisher. This actually follows Joe Nathan, who is a young neurodivergent man. The mean guy at work calls him Joe Nuthin, but he is anything but nothing. He's a good worker, he's a good friend, he's just an all-around good person. Joe lives with his mother, and his mother is creating notebooks filled with information that Joe either doesn't know yet or he might forget. And she's doing this because I think she just realizes that Joe will not always have her to fall back on. And the story follows Joe as he starts to follow his mom's advice and words of wisdom, and it takes him down some unexpected paths. And Joe starts to realize that remarkable things can happen when you leave your comfort zone, which I think is a lesson that we can all learn. I think this is going to be a generally uplifting novel, but I think it's going to make our hearts hurt as well, but in the best way. Coming in at 400 pages, Joe Nuthin's Guide to Life comes out May 28th. Next up is Shang Highlanders by Julie Min. This is a debut novel, which always excites me. It is contemporary literary fiction, and it follows the Yang family, a Chinese family. And the structure of this book, I think, is unique because instead of a dual or multi-timeline or going back and forth, this actually starts in 2040 and it goes backwards to 2014, following this family. And the Yang family consists of a mother, father, and 3 daughters. And it opens up in 2040, and you get to know the family, and then it goes back and you learn about specific events that happen to specific members of the family all the way back, and you progressively find out through going back in time why things are the way they are in the present day of 2040. And as you rewind through time, you're not only finding out what is going on in their shared and separate lives, you are also viewing it through the eyes of the people surrounding them. Their nanny, their private driver, a grandmother. I think she also touches on how time is affecting the world on a global scale. She might touch on climate change a little bit, which always fascinates me. I love a good literary fiction anyways, but this author is putting a unique enough spin on this one that just kind of bumps it up my TBR for me. And I typically don't like real people on covers, but I really, really like this cover. It just pops, I think, of color and intrigue. I think it's just beautiful. This is a shorter one, coming in at 288 pages. Shang Highlanders by Julie Min comes out May 7th. And last but not least, what list of mine would be complete without a mystery thriller? We have The Return of Ellie Black by Amiko Jean. This one takes place in Washington State, and we're following Chelsea Calhoun, who is a detective. And her latest case is kind of turning her life upside down. Effie Black, after being missing for years, has turned up in the woods. And the more she investigates in it, the more she has more questions rather than answers. It turns out this isn't Detective Calhoun's first missing girl case. She specializes in this area because 20 years before, her sister went missing and was never found when they were teenagers. And since then, Chelsea has been constantly looking for answers, for closure. So when Effie Black returns, she hopes to find some of those answers, but Effie Black is not talking a whole lot. She won't say where she's been or who she's been with, what happened to her. So it's turning into not a run-of-the-mill missing girl case, and all Chelsea wants to do is get to the bottom of what happened to Effie Black, not just for respecting the memory of her sister, but for hopefully protecting any girls in the future. You know, there's no shortage of mystery thrillers out there specifically about missing girls, but from what I understand from some of the reviews that I've read, there's supposed to be a solid twist to this one. So I am hopeful and, of course, excited about this one. As I sit here, I just realized that I think I might have said Effie Black earlier instead of Ellie Black. Effie Black is the author of one of my favorite Women's Prize for Fiction books, just when you think you're going to watch a video where I don't refer to the Women's Prize for Fiction. But anyways, Ellie Black. Coming in at 320 pages, The Return of Ellie Black by Amiko Jean comes out May 7th. So that's it. Those are the books that I am truly excited about coming in May. As I said, I'm only going to do these particular videos when I am really excited about new releases, so I can't promise these every month. But summer is a good time for new releases, so these videos might come out a little bit more frequently than the other parts of the year. What books are you guys excited about? I would love to hear about them, or you can just say hi down in the doodly-doo. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye-bye!